Time now for Media Watch, and James Creedon has been looking at reaction around the world to some of the top stories today. James, good to have you in the studio. We're going to start with the former French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who was in Abu Dhabi at the weekend. He was a speaker at an event there. Mm-hmm. Some of the phrases he used have been picked up by the media and criticised somewhat.
So I think it's probably the circuit where former heads of state, heads of government go around and give lectures and make a certain amount of money.
Keep the cash coming in.
That's right. Yeah. And they have to give these little pearls of wisdom.
That's or write a book, isn't
it? That's it. It's like, here's my reading on where the world is today. Now, in any case, he praised the leadership model of the United Arab Emirates, which I suppose this was a closed-door sort of meeting, if you like, but somehow a recording of it got into the hands of The National, which is the English language daily there. So what he said was, when you see a great leader, there is no populism. Where is the populism in China? Where is the populism here? Where is the populism in Russia? Where is the populism in Saudi Arabia? If the great leadership leaves the table, the populist leaders come and replace him. So he went on to kind of say that modern democracy destroys leadership, noting some of the world's greatest leaders today come from largely undemocratic governments. Now, the thing is, I'm sure if there were a load of media cameras there, he wouldn't probably have said it, but it leaked out anyway, and it has led to a certain amount of comment on social media. The great leaders of the world come from countries that are not democracies. Thanks, Sarkozy. Others being a little bit less elegant in their words. Disgraceful comments, that was one observer's take on it. BuzzFeed France was picking up on other quotes. He was talking about Africa and the migration problem. I think this is something that is generally accepted. If we do not work on a kind of almost like a Marshall Plan for Africa's economy, Europe will actually explode, I suppose, under the pressure of migration moving northward. He also made a couple of comments about Russia, saying we need Russia and we have to dialogue with Vladimir Putin. Anyway, a lot of those phrases made it into French media today.
France is cozying up to Abu Dhabi. That exhibition, of course, the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening up.
That's right. And I think there was one comment regarding that, saying Nicolas Sarkozy does this in a country, the United Arab Emirates, that is almost entirely dependent on Western military backing for its own regime security, including defending the vision of its leaders. So there you go. That was the front page headline in the United Arab Emirates, but a degree of criticism for it on social media.
All right, let's move on to another story. This is the so-called Salisbury spy, the Russian double agent who was found slumped on a park bench next to his daughter, both of them suspected of being poisoned. And, of course, the British Foreign Secretary has been pointing the finger at Moscow today.
That's right. So it's really the, I suppose, big story in the UK, and it's been getting a lot of traction around the world, especially Boris Johnson's remarks where he suggested, even though the Foreign Office sort of was quick to say maybe not. So I'm not sure to what extent that decision had been. He just suggested that England may not participate in the World Cup.
Save a lot of humiliation.
That's right. So a lot of people, obviously, also in headlines. This is the Daily Mail referring to the fate of the late Alexander Litvinenko and the fact that this could be a similar case, and of course his daughter being present there as well. A lot of headlines referring to that very well-known case, but a lot of comments and reactions to Boris Johnson's remarks, some supporting it, others not supporting it. This is one Conservative MP who thinks it's actually the right course of action, not least for this, but also for their actions in Syria. Boris threatens to pull England out of the World Cup, so she thinks that's the right course of action. Gary Neville, former footballer, thinks not. He says...
Didn't mix his words, did he?
No, he thinks that it's a foolish and useless decision. Why bring football into it? And others then on social media saying, look, the problem in terms of pressure on Russia is Russia has a lot of pressure to exert back on Europe right now. In particular, this is a screen grab from Bloomberg just a day or two ago. Russia to rescue as Europe draws more gas in Siberian chill. So this is always the difficulty in terms of exerting pressure on Russia these days.
All right, let's end with Jean-Marie Le Pen, the founder of the far-right Front National, has been talking to a gay magazine.
Yes.
I wouldn't expect him to be giving interviews there, but he has, and he insists he's not homophobic.
That's right. Now, you'd wonder how this happened, how the magazine extended the invitation, how he accepted the invitation. How did this ever happen? But it did happen, because he has been widely accused of being homophobic for various,
among other things,
homophobic remarks in the past. So what he said is... let's just go with dark humour, because he said, I make a clear distinction between homosexuals and homosexualists, those who want to transform their sexual choices into a political ideology. And then he went on to say, as long as homosexuals do not put their hands in my zip or on those of my grandchildren, and as long as they don't walk down the Champs-Elysees with a feather up their beam end, then I have no problem with them at all.
All right, not homophobic at all then. Good to know.
So anyway, Le Figaro, this is the front cover of Gay Friendly magazine with a really weird photo of Jean-Marie Le Pen.
Looks like he's having a heart attack.
Yeah, well, maybe when he read the transcript of his interview, he did. Did I say that? And that's Le Figaro saying, and the headlines are fantastic on this. This is the Huffington Post saying, Jean-Marie Le Pen wanted to prove that he's not homophobic in a gay magazine, and he failed. C'est raté.
All right. James, thank you very much indeed.
Anyway, moment of